I'm Brian Williams, and until today, I thought his full name was Washington Bureau Chief Moderator, Meet the Press, Tim Russert. And let's be honest, how many of us hope this would be the other way around? That someday, somehow, Tim could eulogize us. I, too, am going to quote Daniel Patrick Moynihan, the fourth mention on this stage today, probably all the proof we need that Timmy's former boss was the last true public intellectual in American public life. This quote came from November 24th, 1963. Of the young president we had just lost, Mr. Moynihan, then a young Assistant Secretary of Labor, famously said, "I don't think there's any point in being Irish if you don't know that the world is going to break your heart eventually. I guess we thought we had a little more time." For those of you not married to a dark, brooding Irishman, let me assure you we are a blast to live with. I should quickly add, Tim didn't inherit that dark corner of the Irish tradition, the Irish condition. As Maria correctly pointed out, he was a jolly Irish Catholic kid. He had the original sunny disposition. He was an optimist, always choosing to dwell on the positive. I can also officially report here today, for the first time, Tim's last words. His last words happened to be, "What's happening?" He was greeting our Washington Bureau editing supervisor, Candace Harrington. He had gone downstairs from his office to record his voice in a soundproof narration booth. He greeted Candace, having turned the corner, with his customary, "What's happening?" And he never made another sound. Fitting, probably, because Tim was all about what's happening. What's happening with everybody and everything, especially along his power corridor, Buffalo to the Beltway. 2 nights ago, Larry King did an hour on Tim's heart. All kinds of doctors and experts. They had graphics, they had plastic models. I now know Tim's HDL and LDL better than my own. I have committed his triglycerides to memory. Watching all the experts, I couldn't help but think, why didn't they just ask any one of us? We were all experts, after all, on Tim's heart. We were all recipients of its might, the generosity and compassion that flowed from it. I felt qualified to conduct a guided tour of Tim's heart. All of us did. But how is it that that heart that sustained so many of us through its goodwill stopped beating for the one man who depended on it for life? As hearts go, when you think about it, it was more of a shooting star, as it was a vessel for our friend Tim. Brilliant, shining brightly, passing before us for just a short time, too short a time, and then gone. Candidly, I'm not much for this talk that Tim's death is the end of what he stood for, his brand of objective journalism, or all that he built up. I don't think Tim, candidly, would believe that either. Just as the spectacularly impressive Luke Russert has his father's DNA in him and has displayed that so brilliantly over these past several days. I'm telling our co-workers, so do we. We breathed in that air that Tim breathed out among us. He touched all of us, if not with that big made in Buffalo right paw of his that would come down on your shoulder through his friendship, through his mentoring. He was our partner. And one more Irish thing. A quote from Yeats, as paraphrased by Senator Kennedy on that day eulogizing his nephew John F. Kennedy Jr., and as paraphrased here in Tim's name. We dared to think he would live to comb gray hair. He had every gift but length of years. This brings us to a perfect note to end on, at least for me. Let's talk about Tim's hair. Tim spent a fortune on his hair. Everyone up here who knows him knows the truth. He spent a sizable amount of money on his hair. He went to a very fashionable salon not far from here in Georgetown for years. Not his only nod to vanity, but his only attempt at vanity. And on the day when he got it done, he looked outstanding for 60 to 90 minutes afterwards. And then just gradually, after exiting that salon and going about his day, in the course of the day, something happened. And the truth is, he just went back to being Tim. It is perhaps best put this way. You ever raked leaves on a sunny day in October, and you get them into what you think is a perfect pile, and then a gust of wind comes along? Well, that's nature taking the pile of leaves and returning it to nature. Same thing happened with Tim's hair. The metaphor, of course, is this. What's happened here is our Maker has taken our partner and brought him back home.